Hello, David.
Morning, Harry. How are
It's working.
you? Great. Great. And we got a few minutes, obviously, before we get started, but thanks for being here bright and early.
David.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, David.
How are you?
I was hanging around to make sure he got on okay.
It's always good to have help.
Yeah.
It's my best half, Susan.
We all need that. Yep.
Well, you guys have a good meeting.
Thank you.
All right. So you're good?
Yep.
All right, good.
Yeah, the other computer wouldn't take it. I couldn't get anywhere on this one.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't, you have to download something?
Oh, okay. Well, you're good to go then. You need one that works.
Yeah.
Just checking. Can you guys see my PowerPoint that I have shared? Are you seeing that, Harry?
Yes, it's a header, annual party and civil rights training.
Perfect. All right. Just gonna make sure you guys can see that. Got a few people in here. Good morning, Amy. Good to see you. Good morning, Petra from Alpha and Omega. And Jackie from Salvation Army. John, Casa de Benedicción. JB Stam, great to see all you guys. Yeah, I have it on the screen. Hopefully you can see what I shared, but I'm going to ask people to take attendance by putting their name and the pantry that they represent in the chat. So that's how I'll make sure I know everybody gets credit for being here and everything. So yeah, if you could put your name and the pantry or program that you represent in the chat. And then once we get started, if you could mute yourself around 9, that would be great, just to make sure that there's not too much excess noise on the Zoom as we're talking here. But we got about 10 minutes for that. Oh, shoot. Good morning, Rosemary. I see you connecting, and Monica. Thank you guys for being here. I don't know about you guys, but I needed to make sure I had coffee for this. So anything in the morning, I have to get set up with my coffee first. John, thanks for signing in. Good to see you this morning. Should have prepared some music or something. I always forget to think about that for when this is first starting up. It's just me sitting here awkwardly for about 10 minutes before everybody gets started. Jenny from St. Paul's, good to see you this morning. Thanks for signing in. If you're just joining us, I'm asking everybody to go into the chat, hit that chat button at the bottom of your screen. Just put your name and the pantry or program that you represent in the chat. So to make sure, every program gets the credit for being here and taking the training. So thank you, Tammy. I see you from OMPH. Got it. Yeah, from Casa de Benedicción. Great to see you guys this morning. Started shortly here, just in about maybe not quite at 9. We'll probably give people a few minutes to trickle in.
You can see in here that it's supposed to sign in and stuff. Sign in. This stuff is on the way of moving at the bottom. How do I?
What's moving at the bottom?
There's some sign button. Click to add notes. This screen must roll through. How do I do that?
What's this down here?
Yeah, I think Harry, I think you might be looking for the chat button. It should just say chat on the bottom of the screen there.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, you can just add that there.
If you want to chat.
I do Zoom once a year, and this is it.
No worries. Yeah, that's all you should need to do, right? It's enough trouble.
Does he need to mute at all at any time?
Yeah, once we get started, that would be great just to hit that mute button.
There's your mute button. That
And then
has
I'll periodically ask for questions and stuff like that. And then if you have a question, you can unmute. But yeah,
So you want to have it, red is muted, right?
yes. And it'll show like a little microphone with a line through it. There you go. Looks like you muted it. Janelle from Gene Polite, thanks so much for joining this morning, for taking the training. Good to see you. Rosemary.
Do anything.
David, do I need to sign in?
I got you. You're all set. I see here, and we already got other people from OMPH that were signing in too. So you guys are covered.
Okay.
So you can
Yeah.
mute.
Elspeth from LBIC, thanks for joining us this morning. See a few other people here. If you haven't already, please sign in by going into the chat, just typing your name and the pantry or program that you represent, just so I make sure you get credit for being here today. And then, yeah, then just if you guys could mute yourself just till we get going and everything. I'll periodically ask for questions, and then at that point you can unmute yourself to ask, but I prefer if you guys, because it gets a little noisy if everybody's unmuted. But looks great. Tiffany, great to see you. Todd, thanks for being here. And we will get started in just a few minutes. I'm going to make sure that everybody has a chance to get on the Zoom here. Joanne, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Teresa from San Juan Batista, great to see you this morning. And Josh from Crispus Attucks, great to see you. And Donegal Power Packs, and Jen Hollinger from Columbia, and Harry Lowe, great. And I see John Barrett from CVCCS, Shalina and Sophie. Yeah, if you guys could just sign your name in the chat there just to make sure you guys get credit for being here. And I have you see. Great. Awesome. So great. I so rarely get to see all the pantries and programs that I work with in one place. So it's awesome. Even if it's just over Zoom, it's really great just to have everybody together. Monica, yeah, I got you here, Monica. Thanks for reaching out. I got you there. Salvation Army, you're all set. And Peters Porch Landis Valley, thanks, guys. Donegal Power Packs and Pastor Jose Tirado from New Creation, thanks for joining us. And Ronna Curry from the Food Hub, Carly from LGH. So great to have everybody here. Thanks so much for signing in. So yeah, great. We'll get started in just a minute or two. I'm going to give people one more minute or so to kind of trickle in and make sure that we have everybody here before we get started, just to give everybody a chance. And then once we get started, Jen Overmoyer from CAP, from the Nutrition Ed, I'm going to let her go first because I know she has to leave to go somewhere, but she wants to talk about the Pantry, Healthy Pantry Initiative. So we'll give that just a few more minutes and then we'll get started with that. Jen, do you need to share your screen or anything, or are you okay just talking?
Can I share the screen? I have a very short PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you access in just a minute too.
No worries. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, I'm Pastor Marissa, Peters Porch in Denver. Great, got you here. Thanks so much for being here. Get just 1 or 2 more minutes. Like I said, I'm ready with my coffee. I hope you guys are as well. I will definitely need it to get through any kind of early morning thing that I got going on, especially where I have to talk to a bunch of people. So yeah, I'm going to give it till 9:05 and then I'll get started. So if you need to get up and grab a coffee, feel free for just a minute or two. Hi, Thesa Friedman from Anchor Lancaster. I'm going to respond to your question in the chat here, but thanks so much for joining us. All right. Ron Lewis, also from CAP, join us. Thank you so much for being here. Jennifer from Loft Community Partnership. Kathy from Manheim Central. So great to see you guys. And Melissa Ortiz from SACA. So great to see you as well. For anybody who's just joining us, I'm going to get started, but could you please put your name and the pantry or feeding program that you represent in the chat, just to make sure you get credit for being here today. I want to make sure everybody's noted on that front, because that's one of our requirements, is just to take this training. So please put your name and the program you represent. And then I'm just going to ask everybody to mute themselves periodically throughout the time. I'll ask for questions, and at that time you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or just raise your hand, however you want to do it. But if you could make sure that red microphone is on there on your screen, just to avoid excess noise, that would be great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Jen can get started. Before we do anything else, I'm going to allow Jen Overmoyer from the Healthy Pantry Initiative to talk a little bit about that program. And let's see, 1 second here. Doesn't sound crazy. I can't find the button to stop screen sharing.
That's not crazy. That's crazy Zoom life.
Jen, do you have any idea? I cannot find this button. How do you just stop sharing?
Can you view the options above?
It does not show that, because all it shows is my screen that I'm sharing. Let me see if I can.
Do you see the share at the bottom? Because if you have the share at the bottom, it should have an option to stop share.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. When I click it, it does not say stop. Oh, here we go. Stop sharing. It was right in front of me. Yep, you're right. It was one of those dumb things. Okay, but Jen, you should have the ability to share your screen now. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen Overmeyer to talk about our Healthy Pantry Initiative. So Jen, please take it away.
Okay. And yeah, if the person who is trying to find out how to change their name on there, if you find your little picture and up towards the top, there should be 3 little dots at the top of your little picture screen. If you click on that, there should be an option to rename. I know that's another trick of the trade, unfortunately. Okay, so I'll just talk real quickly. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, David, for giving me the first few minutes, because I have to run over to Columbia. So I just wanted to touch base. My name is Jen Overmoyer. I'm from CAP's Nutrition Education Program, and I see a lot of friendly faces on the screens this morning. So we take part with the Oregon Food Pantry Healthy Pantry Initiative. And I just wanted to give you a little briefing about what that is about, for those of you who aren't familiar. So first of all, our nutrition education program is funded by SNAP Ed. So we provide nutrition education to school students, senior centers, food pantries, and other community-based groups who are eligible for or receive SNAP benefits, which of course includes pretty much everyone who comes to a food pantry. And our nutrition education program currently supports about 9 food pantries with the Healthy Pantry Initiative. We provide food tastings, we provide recipes and other handouts. So we come out to you and actually see the clients in person, and we really enjoy that aspect and getting to know some of the clients. Or social people. So as well as talking about nutrition, of course. So other parts of the initiative that we hope to add in the next year is helping figure out how to provide meal kits, doing actual cooking demonstrations. We try to bring My Plate posters and other good healthy eating postage for the pantries that we work with. Other signage to promote healthier options. We call them little healthy pick cards that we can maybe put on a shelf, you know, trying to point out to to clients that hey, tuna is a great source of protein, you know, and maybe provide a recipe for it as well. We could help train some of your volunteers if that would be something you're interested in, and trying to, I mean, train them in trying to encourage people to eat more nutritiously. And I know no matter what we do, some people are not going to eat more nutritiously, but it doesn't hurt to kind of plant the seed. And we are also able to offer nutrition classes in some of the food pantries. That's a lot easier than others, depending on your space. And of course, you know, we've had over the years, sometimes it's a real trial to get people to come out at a set time or place. But it is something that we can do. We can start small as needed. So that's pretty much my spiel. If you have any questions, this is my contact information. I can put it in the chat too. And David and I work in the same building. So we're practically neighbors. So he can always put you in contact with me if you're interested. And for all my partners I already work with, again, it's awesome to see some of your faces this morning. So unless somebody has a question, that was my short and sweet presentation this morning.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. And I would encourage everybody to check that out. Even if you just have questions, you know, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to sign up, but it's a good thing to find out more about, because it's just another option for you to help people get some healthy food. So I would encourage you guys to do that. And thanks, Jen, so much for joining this morning. I know you have to leave probably.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy your training this morning. Bear with it. You'll get through it. Coffee. I know, Maria, you're laughing at me. That's okay. You know, I laugh too. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, so I'm sharing my screen again here. I'm going to get started. The first thing, let's see. First thing that I want to do is go through just some introductions. I have a few important people on the call who you guys will want to know about because they have to do with the program. The first person is my boss, the Health and Nutrition Vice President over here at Community Action Partnership, is Julie Rhodes. So Julie, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to introduce yourself and say here. I'll give you the opportunity.
Thanks, David. Just a quick hello to everybody. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm Julie Rhodes, Vice President of Health and Nutrition. If you know David, he probably doesn't need much oversight or supervision, but yes, that is my role. And David's doing a great job. But if there's anything I can support in terms of your work and what we can do here at CAP to support all of you, please reach out and let me know. We are just really thankful to have great partners here in Lancaster and really work really closely with all of you and the Central PA Food Bank. It's just a real pleasure to be part of this work. And I know it's a really pivotal moment in food distribution. A lot of you are seeing more people, more need right now. So thank you for the important work that you're doing. It means a lot to our families to make sure that they can have food on the table. So thank you for the daily work that you're doing. We know it's really important. So thanks for being here today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Julie. And the next person that I wanted to make sure to introduce was Joanne Hoke from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. She is basically Lancaster County, or my contact at the Department of Agriculture, answers all my questions, helps me out in dealing with stuff. And I know she has to come out and review all you guys too. So you may know her, but Joanne, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to say, or I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see everybody in person. I have been out to several of the pantries. David and I usually try to travel together, and sometimes Maria joins us, but you all do a great job. I know it's challenging at times. If there's anything that I can do to help you in any way, or if you have any questions, you can always contact me directly, or David has it under control. So I actually wish I could clone him. So anyway, good to see you all. Thank you. And I look forward to the presentation.
All right, thanks, Joanne. So great to see you. And another person that I want to make sure to introduce, you guys, I'm sure you guys already know, is Maria Disabella from the Central PA Food Bank, who's also Lancaster County's contact over there. And she's also an invaluable, contact of mine as far as like making sure that everybody gets food and gets what they need and everything. So Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, David. It's a pleasure to be here to see so many familiar faces. So we love the partnership with CAP and all the great work that CAP does for the community, but all of the agencies on this call and on the recording. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Always great to see you, Maria. Great. So with that, the introductions, I'm going to kind of get into this here. So just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. I have some just general reminders and announcements. And then I'm going to talk about the role of CAP as Lancaster County's lead agency for the two programs, SFPP and TFAP, the two main programs that we use to get you guys food. Then I'm going to talk about some of the important guidelines from the TFAP outlet manual to make sure you guys are aware of these. I'm going to go through what I have in the folder, which is the important documents that I give to you guys to make sure you have once a year. And after that, it'll be the civil rights training, which Maria from the food bank was gracious enough to provide for us this year. So I'll pass things off to her. And the Healthy Pantry Initiative, we just had Jen to talk about that quick. So after the civil rights training, you guys should be done for the day. So I know I scheduled this till 12, but I'm hoping it'll be done long before that, but we'll see how it goes. It's a lot of information, and I'm sorry if it does get a little bit long-winded, but I just want to make sure you guys get all this information once a year, because it is important stuff for all the programs that you work with. Before all that, really, I just want to make sure and say thank you to you guys. It's the most important part of this whole thing is just to make sure that you guys know how much the work you do is appreciated. If you stop and think about it, I mean, this is work that nobody else is doing. It's just to make sure that those who need food are getting it. And you guys take your time, whether it's your jobs or whether it's a volunteer thing. You guys do something pretty amazing for the people of this county. So I just want to make sure you guys take a second to give yourself a little bit of pat on the back. I know none of us here are doing it because of that reason, but if nobody else is saying it, I just want to make sure and thank you guys for what you're doing. So thank you. First little announcement reminder thing is just to remind you guys that the new fiscal year starts on July 1st, 2023. So that's a little over a week from right now. And what that means is you're going to have to start using the new registration forms, the self-declaration of need forms. Once July 1st hits, every single person who comes will have to be registered anew, even if they just came the day before. Like if somebody just came to your pantry on June 30th of 2023, that's the old fiscal year. So when they come again on July 1st, they have to register again because every single person has to register once a year. So those of you who use the service insights, that would be a little bit easier to you because you don't have to use the form. And if you have a community meal or a shelter, obviously this isn't going to apply to you. But if you have a regular pantry program, every single person has to use that new self-dec form once a year. So just want to give you a good reminder on that. And those self-dec forms are in your folders, but you can always find them on the website of Central PA Food Bank or the Department of Agriculture too. But I give you the ones where I put your name on them. So you should have had those with your folders. The next thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was about increasing choice and access. So it's just really quickly, the Central PA Food Bank did some great hunger mapping around our county with some data that they were able to find through service insights and some other things. They were able to gather a lot of information. And a couple of the important things they found was that a lot of people can't visit a pantry because of the times. So I know this is not an easy thing to do, but if anybody's interested in saying, can we figure out how to do a distribution evening or weekend? What would that look like? Would we need more volunteers? Whatever it is, let me know, because we would love to see how we can help you out with that process. It's one of those things where you guys may have time to do it only in the daytime, and that's why you pick the time that you do. And that's reasonable. You only have the capacity that you have. But if you would like to try expanding to like a different time, we'd like to see how we can help you with that, because that might be a barrier for some people who need food. Another possible barrier that they saw was choice. And again, this is a capacity thing. If you only have the capacity to do pre-packed bags, I mean, that's understandable, but it may be easier than you think to do a choice pantry. And if you're at all interested in that, we would love to see how we can work with you on that and see how we can make that happen. Because that also may be a barrier. People, maybe they don't eat the foods that they're getting. Maybe they eat some of it, but not others. So if they have the choice, it may be getting a better diet that they need. They may go to the pantry more often to help themselves. And it also could mean less food goes to waste, because then they're not getting food that they're not going to eat. So just something that I want to kind of put in your ears. And if you're interested in this at all, expanding how you do your pantry, that's something I'd love to talk with you guys about. So I just wanted to bring that up quickly. The other thing that I wanted to just quickly drop in here is about SNAP materials. So I did drop some of these in your folders. There's flyers for SNAP in different languages. There's a referral form to the food bank and some referral cards. So Lancaster County has low SNAP participation compared with some other counties, is one thing that we've found out recently through this hunger mapping and stuff. So I wanted to make sure you guys had this information, so you can, if you want, you can put up these flyers, and if anybody is looking for more assistance, they can use these cards. And I would really encourage you to do that, because as you know, food need is getting greater than ever. I don't think I have one pantry that says their numbers aren't going up. Everybody's going up. But it's possible that if somebody is able to sign up for SNAP, that might mean that they don't need to go to the food bank. It might take some pressure off you guys. I mean, there's no guarantee, but it's just one of those extra things that can help, because then if they're on SNAP, they can maybe get food in their own time at the grocery store, wherever they go shopping. And it just could take some of the pressure off you guys. And unfortunately, I know you guys are feeling that pressure. So I want to give you that option. And if you're interested in seeing how you can better encourage people to sign up for SNAP, once again, please reach out to me. I'd love to figure out how we can do that for you. Cool. All right, so that's my just general announcements. And then I'm going to go into just some explaining about what CAP does and who it is, who we are. And we can go from there. So Community Action Partnership, we are Lancaster County's biggest anti-poverty organization. We have a bunch of different programs. Food distribution is the program that I work in. It's on the health and nutrition team. And we are the lead agency for two food assistance programs, TFAP and SFPP. These are the two programs that provide most of the food that our partners receive from CAP, and we give money for the Central PA Food Bank. We allocate those SFPP funds and the TFAP commodities to you guys so you can distribute it to the people who need it. We have a central warehouse in Lancaster that you guys pick up food from, and this is where we keep those TFAP commodities, and it's where I have my office so I can distribute those SFPP funds. Let's talk about TFAP really quick. So TFAP, this is a federal program through the Farm Bill. It's basically a program that we purchase, the government purchases food from farmers, USDA foods, and gives this to states who give it to counties, and then I give it to you guys. This is if you see on your pick sheet that I send out, I have it all labeled by what type of food it is. So, it's mostly stuff like canned vegetables or canned fruit and meat. There's a lot of times there's cereal, pasta, juice, stuff like that. Every once in a while there's frozen meat or some vegetable oil. But this is at no cost. When you sign up for the program, you're entitled to some of this stuff. And that's why once a month, when I know what I'm getting, I send it out to you guys to say, here's what I'm getting. Here's your fair share. Let me know if you want all that stuff or not. That's that thing I send out right before the start of each month. And you can either say, yes, I want all that, or no, I don't want all that stuff, or whatever it is. But I send that out just to make sure you know what you're entitled to, what you can get from us, as it's divvied up equally by the amount of people you're serving. Let's talk quick about the state food purchase program. So this is the other program that we're the lead agency for. This is a state program, a Pennsylvania program that provides cash grants to the counties for food for the people who need it. So I allocate this to you guys, mostly at the Central PA Food Bank. This is the money that I put on account for you each July. And it goes into your account, and I ask you to budget it for the year. And a little portion of that can be used for equipment, so that if somebody needs equipment, like say a refrigerator goes down, you can apply for equipment with us and we can see if we can do that for you. But the vast majority of it is for SFPP eligible food, which is the stuff that you can buy from the food bank there. So let's talk about budgeting these funds. So like I said, you receive your state food funds in July, once a year after the state budget is signed. We don't know how much we're getting before they sign this budget and send it to us. So it's going to be different, at least a little bit different every year. So once I get that amount, I allocate it the biggest way just on how many people you're serving, just to try to be fair. I take the most recent average over the last year, and I say you're serving this amount of people, and I try to line it up with that. I try to make a few other adjustments based on how often you're serving and all that stuff. But it's most important just that if you're serving people, you have a share that corresponds to that. When I send you your allocation of SFPP funds, which I'll send in July, I'm also going to send a suggested monthly budget. If you distribute more frequently, I'll try to make that correspond to that. I'll say if it's twice a month or if it's once a week, whatever it is, I'll give you a suggested budget for that. So I ask you to stay as close as possible to that budget just to make sure you have funds to last the entire year. That starts July 1st, and then I have till June 30th, 2024 to spend that. So it's very important to stay close to that because we don't know if there's any more funding coming or not. Sometimes there is, sometimes there ends up being extra, but in order to just make sure that we have that money, I ask you to stay close to that budgeted amount, because otherwise, you don't want to go over that amount and then end up having no money, and then you have to scramble to figure it out. So that's why I send that to you in that way. And you can always check how much money you have remaining. At the food bank, you can just log into your account and go to the grants tab, and it says, SFPP Lancaster County or something similar to that. And that'll show you how much you have left. Or you can, reach out to the food bank and they'll be able to tell you as well, but easiest just to log in and see it. So yeah, stay within your budget and check often, and you'll be all set for those funds. I want to talk a little bit about balancing what you have, what CAP has, and those SFPP funds. So this is my suggested way to make the most of the money that I give you and the free stuff that I have. So on the Monday of the week before your distribution, that's probably a good time to start kind of planning for it. So Monday of the week before, it's probably a good idea to check your inventory, see how much you have, what do I have left over from last time? What do I have that's donated? And just see how much more you might need to fill the amount of bags that you usually have. That same Monday of the week before your distribution, around 11:30 a.m., I'm going to send out my pick sheet. So that's what CAP will have available for free, is what I send out on that pick sheet. So if you send that back to me by about 10 a.m. on Wednesday of that same week before your distribution, then I'll be able to give you as much of that stuff as possible for free. And I should be able to let you know at latest by Friday morning if I'll be able to have that stuff for you. So once again, that Monday morning, I send out the pick sheet, see what you can get for free, send it back by Wednesday, and I'll probably have most of that for you the next week. that Friday morning, that's going to be most of your deadline for ordering for the next week. So that's why I'm going to let you know before then. So once you know what you have, what I have, then you can see, okay, how much money do I need to spend for that next week? So, and once again, if you try to stay within your budget, this should be the way that you're probably going to be able to make that money stretch the farthest. If you're thinking about what you can get for free first, instead of what you have to buy. Does anybody have any questions on anything I just said? I know I'm running through this quick and I don't want to take all day, so I might be talking too fast. I'm not sure, but does anybody have any questions they want to ask real quick?
Yeah, and I guess because I know that we're newer to this process,
Hey, Tom.
you brought up about the budget and trying to stay within the budget.
Yeah.
If we run in cycles where we have certain programs that are going to require more food, like let's say our school program that's run through the school year, but during the summer, we're going to use less under that same type of program.
Right.
Would it be something where we would talk to you and kind of adjust it, saying during these 8 months, we're going to have a budget of this, but during the rest of the year, we'll do this?
Okay. Yeah, good question. Because yeah, some places do have this programs that don't run the full year. I think the way we'd probably do it, I'd probably give you the same, lump sum for the year. And then we might just have to talk about what a suggested budget for that would be. So I'm just going to pick a number. If it was, $1,000 or whatever it is, you might have to say, okay, we'll use a bigger portion of that during the school year. And then I know you were talking about senior boxes or something similar as well. So if you're doing that, you might have to think about, okay, it's going to be less, so I'll budget a little bit less for the summer. It just might be a little bit of a math, but I'd probably give you that same lump sum in July, just to keep it simple on your end. And then, we could talk about the best way to budget that. So yeah,
Okay.
But probably lump sum would still be the same.
Sounds good.
Cool. Anything else real quick? All right. I'm going to, oops, I skipped ahead. Let me go back here. Let's talk about picking up from CAP. So, most of you guys pick up from CAP, where I have all the TFAP stuff, and I usually will get order produce from the food bank as well. I will, order produce and frozen meats and, whatever else I can get from the food bank or sometimes I have donations, whatever it is, but I'll have stuff for you that you can order off the pick sheet and pick up from us directly. So our warehouse is at 650 Lafayette Street. Most of you guys already know. If pickup is by appointment only, I want to make sure and, point that out. We are increasingly busy, so unfortunately we cannot have people kind of stop by for the food, or we need people to schedule a delivery window for when they're picking up. And please make sure that your drivers know that as well, because some of the drivers have been doing this for a long time and they have a little bit of a casual relationship with it's coming, which it's fine. Most of them I'm so happy to talk to and see. But depending on the day, I might just have to say what, I'm sorry, I have 2 other pickups happening right now. I can't do it. So I don't want to have to turn anybody away. So make sure the people are scheduling in advance. You can schedule those pickups between 8:30 a.m. and 12 and 1 and 4 p.m. every weekday. We're closed for lunch that 12 to 1, just to make sure I have time to eat something and maybe sneak away if I need to for something, but we're open for most of the day. You can schedule a pickup. And if you're late or need to change it, you can contact me at this email address or phone number here. You guys should all have that contact information, just so we know what's going on with your pickup. You'll need to bring enough health to load your vehicle. We're unfortunately not staffed to kind of move stuff into your car. It's still just me, and then I have my part-time guy John. So most of our energy goes to getting that food together for you. So we're unfortunately not staffed to load your vehicle. And I also want to stress, please make sure to follow food safety rules for handling and transporting temperature controlled food. You want to refer to your ServSafe guidelines for this. I know everybody's required to have one person who has that training. So make sure, if you're picking up something that's frozen, you want to be conscious of that and make sure that it's being held at safe temperatures. We have some freezer bags and blankets that we can give to you if you need them, but just want to make sure that you guys are thinking about safety when you guys are transporting food. As far as getting deliveries, so most of you guys know that we do have a box truck, a refrigerated box truck that we can use to deliver food to you. I have close to 40 pantries, and there's only one of me that drives. So unfortunately, I can't do this every week as much as I'd like to. So pantries that are struggling with transportation are prioritized for this. If you don't have a pickup driver, I'll do my best to make sure I can get you delivery. Give me that request by Friday of the week before. Some of you guys have kind of a confirmed regular time, which is fine. But if you get to me by that Friday before, then I'll make sure it's on the schedule and I have time for you. There's kind of a 2,000-pound weight limit for safety because it's just a little box truck, about 500 pounds of skid, 4 skids max. So I can't distribute like tons and tons of food, but I can get you, at least 2,000 pounds of food when you need it, if you're entitled to that. It's important to note that those deliveries might be canceled for inclement weather or, unforeseen circumstances. Like if the trucker needs to repair, needs to be serviced, there's really no way around that. We don't have a backup truck. So you're going to want to have somebody that you have for transportation outside of, just my truck. You're going to want to try for that anyway. But I will always do it if I have the ability for you. Any questions on delivery or pickups? All right, I'll take that as a no. I'll keep moving on. All right, let's go to TFAP outlet manual. Everybody got one of these in their folders. It should be in that right-hand pocket. It's your manual to everything. It's your guide for everything having to do with the program. It's a big, thick manual, at least, like there's 20 something pages in there of just the rules and guidelines. So I'm just going to go through kind of the real important stuff first, although you guys should know all of it in there, and that's why I gave it to you. But it's a lot of stuff, so bear with me. I'm going to try and give you the important stuff real quickly here. So your responsibilities as a pantry, as a TFAP outlet. So you should distribute food to eligible households, including from sources other than USDA or TFAP. So that just means you get my food, you get the state food, you get donations that you'll be given to people. Outlets shall maintain regularly scheduled and consistent operating hours and provide emergency access. So that just means, your hours shouldn't be changing all the time. People should know when they can get food from you, basically. And if you have the capability to provide emergency access, we really want you to be doing that as well. TFAP outlets may receive foods from one lead agency, that's CAP. Food distribution must take place at least once per month. Outlets should make every effort to be open at least once per week. So yeah, basically we just need people to have access to food at least once per month from your facility, just to make sure that people have that access who need it. Outlets shall publicize the days and hours of operations. A sign must be posted at the site. So this is what you need to have, some way of advertising your services to the community so people can find it who need it. That's why I encourage people to be on 211, United Way platform. That's a good point. Social media is good, and contact the schools and things like that to be able to tell people about your program and have a good sign up front so people can find it. You guys should have one freezer, one refrigerator, good shelving. You need good places to store your food. Outlets must comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So basically, if somebody has a disability, we just need to make sure that they are able to get your food, no matter how you can get it to them. If they come and say, I can't get up your ramp, you should have some way to get it to them. So if someone has a disability. Outlets must have a geographically defined service area. So you should have a basic area you're trying to cover, although with the state, we wouldn't, everybody who comes, we want you to make sure that that person gets food, even if they are outside of your area, because we don't know what their situation is. We don't know where they're coming from. So even if you have this area that you're concentrating on, we want to make sure everybody's able to get food no matter who or where. Outlets must properly store, handle, and distribute them. So basic stuff, that's the food storage stuff, the serve safe stuff, and the security stuff. That's why we require to have a lock on all the places where you store food. And all USDA foods must be stored separately from other privately donated or purchased food. So you should just have something to identify it, a sign or whatever it is, just to say this is food for the pantry, that's from the TFAP stuff, and this is the other stuff, just so it doesn't get mixed together. Let's talk about recipient eligibility. This is page 4 and 5 of your manual. So households are eligible if their total gross income does not exceed 185% of the federal poverty levels. So we're lucky they raised this a little bit last year, gave some other people the ability to get food. So it is 185%. And that's the only, this stuff on this page is the only thing people need to be able to get this food. Documentation. So just to stress, agencies are not allowed to collect income documentation or social security numbers, and households are not required to show proof of dependence. So no proof is required for any of the food they get. Them signing the form, that's all proof that's needed, that they have the income and anything else that meets these requirements. For residency, residents must reside in Pennsylvania, and it says they should live in the agency service area. So like I said, if they're not from the area, they still should be served. You can refer them to a closer pantry, but even if they come back, we still want you to serve those people because we don't know what the situation is with that other pantry. Maybe it's their neighbor who they know is the person at that pantry. Maybe it's, they're from another county, but there's a discriminatory situation or something like that. I'm just I'm just saying we don't know the situation, so we still want those people to be able to be served. If somebody's homeless and they don't have an address, they can write none in the address section and they should still get served. And if somebody does not have ID, they are still eligible to receive it. So I know a lot of you guys ask for people to show ID. It's okay to ask, but if they say they don't have an ID, they should still get that food. Because say somebody lost their ID, and of course, if you don't have a steady income or any income, you may have trouble getting a new ID. So we don't want to exclude those people from the program. All right, let's talk about TFAP applications, those self-declaration of need forms on page 5 and 6. So these forms are updated once a year with new income guidelines. I gave anybody who's a pantry who's still using the forms, I gave these to you with your name on them, so you should have these. These are available in different languages. I gave you English, Spanish, and Russian, and there's some more available. You can find that on the PA Department of Ag website, and I think they're up on the Central PA website as well. Or just ask me, I can forward them to you. All participants are required to sign the updated self-declaration of need form after July 1st, even if they've completed one the last year. So everybody has to do one once a year. Everybody has to register at least once per fiscal year. Proxy forms can be used, and those are on the back of the form. So they just have to fill those out, and the person who fills, is the named proxy can pick up food. As far as the application process, the participant must complete it with their name, household address, and the number of the people in their household, along with their income eligibility. So that stuff just has to be there. And for address, if they don't have it, like I said, they can just write none, but you need the other stuff for sure. Signature logs. So we are still asking people to sign every time they receive food, just to keep accurate records. For those of you on Service Insights, it works a little bit differently. They just have to, come in and check that they're getting the food each time. And of course, for those of you who are, feeding programs or community meals, it's just a head count. You don't have to do the signature form. As far as confidentiality, just make sure that these forms are confidential. People need to be protected and their information needs to be private. So make sure that those signature logs and self-deck forms are kept somewhere locked so that nobody can see it or anything like that. The last thing you want when you go to a pantry is for that information to be public. I mean, some people might not care, but we owe that to them to make sure that stuff is safe and secure. Great. As far as distribution, you can distribute by pre-packed bags or by client choice. As I said, I would encourage you to figure out if we can do a way to do client choice, and we want to help you do that. But if you only have the capacity to do a pre-packed bag, hey, you're still giving people food, so that's great. Either way, participants may choose to decline food. So if you give somebody and it's like, well, I don't eat this because of my religion or my health or whatever it is, they can still give that back to you, and that's okay. And better they give it back than it goes to waste, right? Guidelines. So do your best to meet the cultural, dietary, and religious restrictions. Also a capacity thing, but it's great to do this if you can, because having a low income doesn't mean that you don't have these restrictions, right? You're encouraged to distribute more to larger households. So, again, this is also a capacity thing, as I know a lot of you guys are struggling to keep up. But if you can give more to bigger households, we would really encourage you to do that, because obviously if you have 8 kids versus 1, you're just going to need more food, right? That's kind of just a basic thing. It'd be nice if there's a way around that, but I don't think that there is. TFAP restrictions. So no food that you get from me, TFAP or SFPP, should be sold or disposed of in commercial ways. And if you have volunteers that receive food, that's okay, but they have to register the same way everybody else does. They can't have any special circumstances. They still must meet the income guidelines, and it can't be traded for their work at all. I know that a lot of people want to be, I'm volunteering, so can I get extra? Unfortunately not. Everybody should kind of get the same stuff. And that's just because this food can't be used for any other reason other than, giving it to the people who need it. So if you're giving it for work, that's almost like payment. So you can't really do that. Yeah, of course they can still get it. They just have to qualify the same way. And does anybody have any questions on any of that stuff?
David?
Yeah.
Could you please tell me that they are going to waive the signature again?
So the signature, we can kind of talk about that. So for the state, it's not necessarily required. For record keeping, we kind of just need it to have a way to, as a county, we are asking people to do that.
Even if they give their verbal consent?
If they give their verbal consent in terms of
That we can sign off for them?
Well, I'm gonna say, Joanne, would you like to weigh in here?
Sure, I just unmuted myself as she was speaking. The signature waiver is still in effect. Okay, so they do not physically have to sign, but you will need to make sure that you have all the information. That,
Absolutely.
yes,
We do.
Joanne Hoke was there. Yes, she's a family of 10, and the date that she got it. So you can report your statistics correctly, the right statistics to David and the food bank every month.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, and I also wanted to note that we're in the process of translating the self-declaration of need. It's now in 8 languages, and we're in the process of changing it to have Vietnamese and Ukraine are 2 other languages that it's going to be translated into in the near future.
Awesome. So good new options for those. Thank you very much, Joanne. So yeah, like Joanne said, if we are still asking that you do it mostly for record keeping purposes, but yes. Okay. Yeah. As Joanne said, if they would rather just give their verbal consent and have you sign, that's fine. But we do need those records. I saw that Jenna had her hand raised. So Jenna, what was your question?
Can you talk about that with like signatures with deliveries? Because we still do a couple deliveries every week. And we have one specific family that has a family advocate that has been very adamant about how we do deliveries. And this is a family where it would be easier to text them and leave the food and then not have the contact. So I'm curious how that would work.
Well, for deliveries, it can be complicated because we want to make sure you're putting it in somebody's hand. Joanne may, and I'll pass it off to you as well. But I think the main question is like safety and security of that food. So if you're not giving it directly to a person, you have no idea about tampering. You have no idea if it's getting to that person.
Okay,
Julie,
yeah.
would you have more to say on that?
It's
Well-
just this issue's interesting. It's a weird one with mental health being the disability and the advocate being the person that's saying they can't come to the door that early. And you need to call this many times to get them out of bed, those kinds of things. And so we're kind of like, what is the best way to serve this situation?
Yeah, you want to make sure, like if there happens to be something perishable in there, that it's not sitting out on the porch
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
for hours, or that it's out there and somebody, neighbor can just come and pick it up, like a theft too. You have to be worried about that. Maybe the answer would be, and I don't know how many boxes or cases that you actually deliver to, but maybe you could set up with them and say what time is good for you. And, we need a certain time, a certain day, and we'll accommodate you, but we do need someone to, that we physically hand it to. As far as getting a signature, you can always have the delivery person, sign their name if they're comfortable with that, saying that, and indicating I gave it to David, or whatever.
Yeah, they picked it up, they grabbed it, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the food safety and the fact that there could be theft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they also might be a good candidate for proxy if there's someone who could pick it up for them. Yeah. Yeah, it is a difficult situation, but yeah.
Even if they have 10 proxies, just so they have somebody that is willing to get, signed for them that they physically got it.
There you go. And Todd, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, and because I know that we don't need the signatures, but I know that you prefer, if we can get them, that we were doing that and we already have an internal form that we use every time someone picks up food. Would that be fine to just use that as the record versus we didn't like the idea of having a sheet where people are just signing their names to that confidentiality piece of they're going to see the name above. Is having that internal form sufficient?
Yeah, as long as you can show that to us, yeah, that would be fine. Is it, 'cause when we see a review, as long as we can see that there's a good record of this person showing up and they gave their household and everything.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Todd. Was there one more question, or did I answer that? Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep going on here just to make sure we meet our time. All right. So basic storage requirements. This is page 8 and 9 of your TFAP manual. So this is all the things that you have to do for storage of that food. So you have to maintain food within optimal storage conditions, including logging temperatures, freezers refrigerated, and your dry storage. Don't forget just the room storage of where you're keeping the food. You'll have to keep food on racks or pallets that keep it at least, it says 8, but at least 6 inches off the floor. Basically, as long as it's on a shelf or not on the floor, you should be okay. And you want to keep it 6 inches from the wall just for air movement and pests and stuff like that. Keep the rooms and shelving clean, so make sure you're well maintaining it, and there should be no toxic items, no cleaning stuff kept on the same shelves. Probably keep it in a completely different room from anywhere where you're storing food. Keep storage areas free of pests such as rodents and insects. So you'll have to either contract with a professional company to keep the pests away, or regularly inspect. And if you're seeing anything, you probably just want to contract with the person. Like when I go for reviews, I will ask you for that information. You want to insulate any heat generating pipes or ducts. So these can mess with the temperature in your room. So keep any food away from them. Insulate it if you have to. You're going to want to ensure that the food storage area is secure from unauthorized persons. So only the people working with your pantry should have access to this area, just for food safety. You don't want anybody tampering or stealing the food that you have. If you have any USDA foods that I've given you and there was damage or anything, let me know. Keep me updated on that. And like I said, it should be separate from the other storage, like if you have donated stuff, just so you can see what is from TFAP and what isn't. And as far as inventory, you don't actually have to keep this inventory. I kind of keep the inventory for you guys, but that is one of the rules as well. Skipped ahead. As far as temperature, like I said, it must be kept at the proper temperature and must be recorded frequently on those temperature logs. It's another thing I'll ask you about. Let's see here. Let's go on to the next page here. Monitoring requirements and outreach. So monitoring, this is basically just the annual reviews that I have for you guys. So CAP is the lead agency. We have to review your program at least once per year. And the Department of Agriculture, that's Joanne, will have to come at least once every 4 years. And Maria, I believe is every 2 years. Is that might be correct? Yeah. So we'll be out there. I send them my dates to hopefully that they can come at the same time. Schedules don't always work out that way, but if we can schedule it that way, that definitely helps to make sure that we're doing things efficiently and only coming once a year. And this is just to ensure that each program complies with all food storage, record keeping, program operation requirements, and all that stuff in this manual. That's just a requirement that we have to do. So it's just something we have to do each year. As far as outreach, like I said, you guys want people to know about your program. So, we have your stuff on a PDF on our site. People can see that what our sites are. And we'd also, we ask you guys to list yourselves on United Ways 211 so that anybody looking for services can find your services that way. We just want to make sure that anybody who's looking for food can find your program, basically. And also the USDA non-discrimination statement. So this is what's back on the back of that TFAP form, and there's a version of it I can send to you as well. This statement has to be on anything you print about your services. It's a big long thing, so it is annoying, but it's just one of those requirements, just to say that we don't discriminate against anybody. Anybody can get food here, basically. So if you have a website, if you're printing up a flyer, that does have to be somewhere on there. All right. Prohibited activities, real quick. This is the stuff you're not allowed to do as a pantry outlet. No political activities, no religious activities. If you're religious, you must have the written notice of beneficiary rights poster. This just basically says, you don't have to participate in anything religious to get food. So donations, you can't, ask participants to donate money or services in exchange for food. This goes to what I said about the volunteers having to register and get the same services as everybody else. Discrimination. So you cannot discriminate against anybody on the basis of color, national origin, sex, age, religion, political beliefs, disability. Just anybody who comes into your place should be able to get food from you. It doesn't matter who they are, what gender, anything, they should be able to get food from you. As long as they meet those economic guidelines on the self-deck form, they can get food from you. And the "And Justice for All" poster must be displayed where it can be seen by people getting food. And I have a new one for you. I'll have to get this printed up for this year. So you guys should already have the posters, but I'll get a new one printed out and get that to you soon. But that poster has to be up. And there's some other things here, disaster assistance. So if there's a disaster, the same rules apply. You can't change anything because there's a disaster without permission. You can't sell any of this food that we get, and you can't put any printed material that's unrelated to our program in the bags, except if it's like something else on programs to help the needy. Any questions on that stuff? All right, moving on. All right, let's go to the documents that I gave you guys in your folders. So this stuff should be in this middle folder, in this middle section of the folders that I gave you guys. I have the first thing right on top is your new, oops, I put the last year's here, but it's right here, is your new self-deck forms for the new year. So these should say July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. So make sure you have the correct year that you're using starting July 1st. These have the new income guidelines on here for you. So make sure that you're using those. When you make copies of these, I gave you about 30 or so to get started, a couple languages. make sure that you are copying these front to back. As I said, that non-discrimination statement has to be on there. And there's also the proxy form. So just make sure you're copying these both sides when you make copies of these self-deck forms. Right behind the self-deck forms, I have a sample completed form for you. Actually, let me see. I think I have, show it to you. Yeah, so here's the self-deck form for this year. And here's the sample one. So important areas here, make sure you're filling in the family size up here in the right-hand corner. Make sure that you are signing and dating. Whoever's registering the person needs to sign and date right here. Right below that, they need their address and income. And this line with their income and family size must be circled or highlighted fully. It can't just be like one over here, one over here. It has to be that whole line is circled. And make sure that the recipient signs and dates here at the bottom. So those are all the things that are required for this form to be valid. I hate to ask people to do these over again or anything, and I know you guys don't want to do that too. So just make sure that whoever's registering knows all that stuff has to be on that form, and copy both sides, like I said. The next thing on here, signature log. Bear in mind what Joanne said about the signatures, but for record keeping, you'll have to have these forms filled out. It's obviously different if you're on Service Insights or if you have a community meal. But if you're a pantry who's still using the physical forms, just make sure you're keeping good records of who's new coming in. And also the next sheet right behind that is for returning families. So make sure you're keeping good records so that you have a good count. As I said, we need good records to make sure that everybody's represented, and that's how I base my allocation to you. So you want to make sure you're keeping perfect records for who's coming into your pantry and everything. So right behind the signature logs, you have the temperature log. So I have one of these for everybody. You want to put these, it's probably a good idea just to put one of these on every piece of equipment you have. And just every day that somebody's in your facility, just take that temperature just in case. You don't want a piece of equipment that's failing and nobody notices until, weeks afterward that all this meat's gone. You know what I mean? It's anybody who's had a freezer go down can tell you it is not fun to have to throw away that stuff that could have gone to somebody. So just keep good track of that as best you can to make sure that no food goes to waste. Right after that, you got Maria will go over these forms again, sure, in her part, but just to tell you what you have, a quick guide to civil rights. So this is for like on the day training. If somebody doesn't have time to go through the full training, you can just show them this. They can go through it real quick to know what they need to be on the lookout for, and then take the full training afterwards. But you can put this on like what do you call it? Just a pegboard or something like that, something to put up for people. And right next to it, we have the civil rights complaint form. You have one of these in English and in Spanish in your folders. These should be available to anybody who's getting food. So you can put these again, put them up on a board so that they are available to anybody. I know all my pantries treat everybody equally, so there's probably not going to be a complaint, but we still need to have access to these for every single person who comes in, just in case. That's the rule. Right behind that, we have the civil rights training printout. So you can use this. It's got the full thing. So you can have anybody who needs to take the training go through this if you want. You have a few options. There's like a video, but say you got a volunteer who needs to take this training, you can say, okay, read through this printout. Once they're done, they sign off and they're all set. And this is what Maria will be going through in just a few minutes. And this is the self-certification of civil rights. So what you got here, this is the form that you have to sign to certify that you are trained on civil rights. So anybody who went through that training that I had, sign off on this, mark whether you're, a pantry or a feeding program, sign it, date it, keep it with your records. There's spots for more people to sign up on the back, and you can make copies if you have tons of volunteers. But this is something you need to have as proof, and you should have this for all reviews, just as proof that you took the training. And there's a couple more things I have in here after that. I put in the policies and procedures for pickup and deliveries from CAP. Just so you have these and can you refer to them to know like exactly what the best practices for pickup and deliveries are. Right after that, there's a notice regarding who to contact with pantry questions and concerns. You want to hang that. It's probably a good idea to hang that next to your civil rights poster and the complaint form, just so if anybody has questions, they know to contact me. In that right-hand folder, there's a pantry outlet manual. I printed one copy of this for each pantry. And the last thing, I didn't actually have time to print this, but I will give this to you like next time you pick up. Just a quick directory of everybody who's in our system as far as a directory. So you guys have contact with each other. I would like you guys to be able to use this for, basically like if anybody has extra food, we want our food to stay within our system. So like, say you finish your distribution, you have like some, whatever it is, sweet potatoes that you don't have room for storage. You want to give them to somebody, you can say, there's a pantry down the street, like, hey, can you guys use this? I know you have a distribution tomorrow. So I'm going to get you this directory. I will probably email a copy and then I'll give you a copy next time you pick up from me. Just so you have it and you're able to feel like you're within a network. That's one of my goals for the next year, is to make sure people have ways of feeling like they're in a network with the other pantries that do this, because that's really important to me. It'll just be your public information that you guys give to me on your forms. So I just want you to make sure you guys have that. Let's see. All right, and very next thing, that should be everything in your folders. Oh, before I go on, does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff that I just ran through really quickly? Okay, you guys catch on quick. I will turn this over to Maria next. So we have, we're required to do a civil rights training once a year. That's part of what this is. And this is that training I was just talking about and gave you materials for you. Maria Disabella from the Central PA Food Bank was awesome enough to do this for us. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria. Let me make sure she's able to share. Yeah, she should be able to share her screen. And I will stop sharing mine now that I remember where the button is. So you're all set. Thank you so much, Maria. I'll turn it over to you.
David, thank you so much. Awesome training. It's wonderful for you to go through that with your agencies. We just had ours yesterday with our Dauphin County partners. So this is fantastic information to share out. So exciting to hear about the self-deck forms being translated into more languages as well. So great opportunity to connect. Joanne, sorry you have to hear the civil rights training again. She was on our call yesterday. So before we begin, we do want to share a few updates from the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. Many of you know we are the regional food bank. We are a member affiliate of Feeding America and Feeding Pennsylvania. And here at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, we serve 27 counties, and we have wonderful relationship with Lancaster and with Lancaster CAP, with Julie and David and all the wonderful partners there. So we are so excited to be able to continue that partnership and support one another. So in the last few years here at the food bank, we've been on an EDIB journey: equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And that meant internal staff. We went through many trainings on a monthly basis and met as a committee to know how important this is, not only within our network, but also within our coworkers and those that we serve, but also equity in terms of food and where we serve food, and inclusion, making sure that we bring everyone to the table. So this year we had a recent hire of a director of equity. Mr. Joe Morales joined us a few months ago, and he's going to be starting to doing external trainings. And that is going to be something to look forward to in the next fiscal year. So be on the lookout for not only EDIB trainings, but other trainings as well coming from the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. Here's a big update for all of you and for our network wide. We have been blessed to be able to provide produce for free, and the food bank is committed to continue to provide produce for free for forevermore to our network. So that is wonderful news. The beginning of the pandemic, we started to have certain items, crisis relief items for free, and eggs was one of those items. So for 3 years, eggs were free throughout the central Pennsylvania region, and that was wonderful, and we know that. And now we're taking a look at cost analysis, of course, moving out of the pandemic, moving forward. So here at the food bank, we are going to be doing a cost share model beginning July 1st, and that is a big change for $1 a dozen for eggs. And that doesn't completely cover the complete cost of the food bank, but we will continue to subsidize that overage. But coming forward, that is a big change for all of you, and we know that. And also, we are getting more and more bonus milk loads coming through. We had one come through early June, and we're expecting that milk to continue to flow. So you'll see it on our inventory as BT, which means bonus TFAP. So I know David and others, please take advantage of that. And as we know, state food grant is amazing. TFAP entitlement product is amazing, but it doesn't cover all those costs. And we saw not only in Dauphin County, but in Lancaster County, many agencies going through their grant dollars, their state grant dollars at a much faster pace than before. We recognize that here at the food bank, and we offer, and this is a mouthful to say, bold goal grants, BGG, bold goal grants, to be able to assist those partners that have then gone through their state food allocation and other resources. So we help with an application process to help with better food, better access, and better together. And that email is listed there so you can get that information, so we can work through that. And I apologize, that reminder at the bottom, I know, David, you talked about budget. That was from our Dauphin County meeting, where we also emphasize budgeting those state food dollars. So here is a great chart, distribution summary for Lancaster, and over time, that green bar is wonderful fresh produce, which is in abundance in Lancaster County and distributed. And 2021, you can see that's the height of the pandemic. And now this fiscal year, we haven't closed out the number. This doesn't even include that last quarter, where we are seeing your numbers in Lancaster County at about 5% below the highest peak of the pandemic. So we know the need is great in the community with rising costs, SNAP emergency allotments not ending in March. So we're seeing that increased need. So those bars are representing all the great food that you're distributing. And food insecurity rate in Lancaster County is at 7.4% total population, and looking through all those other metrics there. Down at the bottom is something I want to point out, that we do a mathematical formula with Feeding America and looking at census tracts and food insecurity rates in every community. And mathematically, there's a meal gap number. And in Lancaster, it says that we've met that goal, and now we're past it, which that bar continues. But we know that need is there, and we want to be strategic. And we'll talk a little bit about the community hunger mapping that we're looking to see and implement those recommendations. So the meal gap in Lancaster mathematically is closed, but it does not mean that we are finished the work there in Lancaster. And we're now into, I'd like to say, the second year offering this service for free to partners, the Language Line Solutions, which is a voice interpretation system that allows you to call in this phone number using the client ID number, which is our account number. And in Lancaster, this is the access code that you would just punch in, 3378, to be able to be connected to over 240 different interpreters of different languages. So that could be something to be able to be used at your pantries. And we've seen some good usage of it, but it does not substitute that physical person that to be able to speak in Spanish or the native language. So these resources are available. We have posters, we have different things. So please, I'll send out the follow-up information to David. If you need those materials, please let us know. We have plenty to be able to provide. And that service is free to all our member agencies. Getting into SNAP, and David touched upon this, we have a team here to be able to assist folks to get enrolled for that ongoing monthly benefit. And I love that you provided those RAC cards that you see here. We have plenty more here at the food bank. And our helpline number, our dedicated staff is there to answer those calls, to be able to walk alongside our neighbors to get them through enrolled. And then also follow up with them on that application process. So keep that in mind. If you need any more materials, please reach out. Retail donations. Some of the agencies on this call participate in that program, going to do food rescue efforts at the Giant, at the Walmart, and you name it, everything in between. So my colleague, Cindy Passy, she is our senior retail donations manager. Her information and her team is listed. Those agencies that participate in that program that you have to capture the pounds, you weigh the pounds, you submit them on our online system, and that helps to, again, part of that meal gap. So they're asking for us to record those pounds before the end of the fiscal year, which is quickly approaching. And keep doing what you're doing. So if you have any questions, please reach out to Cindy and her team. And she did want me to stress that any poundage that you receive from national and local donors, from farmers, growers, food drives, community gardens, and farmers markets, to be including in that. And we can go through the how-to guide as well, how to quickly submit those pounds, because it does make a difference. This is relatively new. We've seen that need in many communities. We work with local farms to be able to make that connection from farm to the local pantries. So in this program, Erica Maurer, she's our agricultural acquisition manager, is connecting those smaller farms to the local agencies. Then that food stays right in the community. So she has this program available to then be able to help offset some costs for the farmers and then to be able to assist you as well. So that is the Farm to Agency Resource Market Grant Program that will also send all of this information as follow-up. I know Jennifer Overmeyer was on the call from the Nutrition Education Program there at CAP and does a fantastic job. I just wanted to do a shout out to our team here at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. We have a nutrition education team as well to be able to support any efforts. But first and foremost, it is through the Nutrition Education Program through CAP for any partner agency in Lancaster County. That is the first stop. And then we're able to support, and we're hoping to work together a little bit more in the fiscal year with Client Choice and working through the healthy eating research guide that we have on our website. Just a show of hands, I know I see some cameras on, but on our online system, have you noticed that we have a nutrition column now? And it is listing choosing often, choosing less often. That system is to kind of indicate all things in balance, and things in green we want to be given out in more abundance. Things in the yellow system to be given out occasionally, and in red at your discretion, but all things in balance. So how many, raise the hands, how many have seen that on our online inventory? Perfect. All right, good to see that. So we'll be doing some workshops and coordinating with CAP as well on some of these amazing things that we have to be able to offer. Advocacy is so important. As we've heard, with funding, with support in the local community. Our advocacy team is really working hard to support, of course, state food program purchase. That is up at the state. It is usually flat funded. So once that passes, then those allocations are given to Department of Ag and then to the lead agencies. So we're advocating strongly, and your voice is very important, not only locally, but also for our seniors and for the youth. Coming up also in September, there's a big vote for the Farm Bill, and included in that is the SNAP program, TFAP, which is the TFAP entitlement, TFAP bonus, and the Senior Food Box program. So our team is saying that it's easy to get involved, to make a phone call, to write letters, or get those action alerts from our team. And that is a quick link there to sign up for that. And even if you're ready for that next level, to host a legislator or to be able to get that commitment locally, we provide assistance. And our government relations manager, Ryan Prater, is helpful to guide you along that process. Again, all voices, and especially our voices of our neighbors, are so important. And David touched upon this briefly in his presentation. We have a policy research team here at the food bank undergoing community hunger mapping. And in Lancaster, we are in phase 3 of this process, where many of you involved were doing pantry surveys. Some of you also hosted for neighbor surveys. So we've gone through phase 1, phase 2. We are now working on completing that full report, which will be available sometime this summer, and then working through those implementation phases of finding where there are gaps in services. What can we do? How far do neighbors need to drive or walk to pantries? Looking at that, and how we can collaborate a little bit even more in Lancaster. You do a fabulous job already, but how more can we work together to close those gaps in services? I kind of sped through this one, but I won't read through everything, but really looking at it as systemic change that is needed to all over our 27 counties. So as I said, Lancaster is up this summer for that full report. And closely tied into this is service insights on Meal Connect. David mentioned that a few times, and several of the partners on this call are using that system, which is a neighbor intake tool that is cloud-based. You can use it on your phone, on an iPad, on a computer, to be able to do all the intake that is necessary. Using the self-deck form is already in there to be able to process that information and get rid of the paper. So it is something that is wonderful. It is free, which is keyword, through Feeding America. And our team here does a fabulous job of guiding you through that process, in meeting with you in advance to making sure that you're all set. There's a video that we can share out to kind of see, would this fit for your agency? Maybe it doesn't, and that's fine. And we just want to be able to offer this to all partners across our 27 county region. So there's service insights and what it means for our neighbors, what it means for you as our partners, and here at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, where we're able to see instantaneous data to be able to say, you know what, the question is asked about SNAP. And as we get to July 1st, it's a perfect time. As you re-register, are you receiving SNAP? In Lancaster, we know there's a low participation rate for whatever reason. So we want to be able to get that information, and then we can have our team then work with those folks. I was going to put some agencies on the spot that are using service insights on Meal Connect. Would anyone from the Loft or Hempfield Area Food Pantry like to say anything? I know there are quite a few others. Someone, anyone like to share anything about how that process has been for you and for your neighbors?
Well, This is Roz from the Hempfield Area Food Pantry. And we've been using it. It was a year in June, and it's been had its hiccups at first, but Ashley and Morgan are always there to support us. And the program, I think now that we've used it for a year, we've grown used to it. And the little hiccups that we've had, we've learned how to work around them. The issue was using it outside, and we did purchase a hotspot. So that's helped us connect outside with the clients and that. So overall, I would definitely give it a thumbs up. And if anybody wants any information on it as a user here, we would be glad to answer any of your questions.
I love it, Roz. Thank you so much.
For the loft, we started earlier this year using it. I think we started in January. And so we're currently looking at our first July TFAP turnover with it coming up. So we just our intern Jenny, who's on the call with us, she and I made a game plan for July and getting our TFAP turnovers and what that's going to look like. So that'll be a big process, a lot like when we launched it. We had the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank team, Ashley and Morgan, come out and support the launch, and Dawn, one of the other folks, was there. And so I agree, it's super supportive as far as like, if you have questions or need help with it, you can easily get the answers from Ashley and Morgan. And I think it has allowed us to really continue to grow what we're doing and not be nervous about our numbers and how many people we're serving, because we really have our finger on the pulse of it every week. And it's given us good data. And so, yeah, if anyone wants to come out in July to the loft and see what we're going to do, it would be a good learning experience. And you can always reach out to me as well if you just wanted to get the user perspective too.
Thanks, Jenna. Thank you so much. I know there are a few other launches coming up in July at Salvation Army in Lancaster, Crispus Attucks, and a few others in queue, but I know guiding you through that system to make it best. And if it fits, please work through that. It is something to think about, but not required.
Hi, Maria.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. I just wanted to say,
Oh, Teresa.
yeah, I'm here at someone. So we've been using it since March, that system. And it's been very good so far. Like they said, yeah, hiccups are, because getting to know the system and all that. But it's been useful. There's a lot of questions that are answered. So the beginning of the program, when you're registering someone, it just takes a little longer. But after that, if the families continue to come, it makes it so much easier. One thing that I do wish that they would make better, and I'm pretty sure they're already working on it, it's to make the reporting, the statistical reporting and stuff like that. It's a little complicated to go here and there and stuff like that to actually get those numbers to report. But other than that, I've been having fun working with that and learning from it. So yeah, it's a good thumbs up for me also.
Thanks so much, Teresa. And they have worked out those bugs with the statistics, and there is a new video to help guide you through that. So I can include that as well in the follow-up. So thanks for sharing. I didn't want to focus that much on this, but I do, it would help a lot with the paperwork portion of it, and all in compliance with Department of Ag, of course. So it's time for a stretch break. I don't know about you, but I need to stretch. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. There we go. We have saved the best for last, ladies and gentlemen. We have. It is time for civil rights. The long buildup. I know. Yes, we have it. So every year we do have to complete civil rights training for any frontline staff. And it is a requirement of being a partner agency of CAP and of Central Pennsylvania Food Bank and receiving those commodities. So anyone with that face-to-face contacts with neighbors have to go through that training. And it depends on their level of interaction. If it's an occasional volunteer, as David mentioned, that quick guide is important to go over it. So we do the train the trainer model, where we provide those resources to you. So then you are trained to be able to share it out with your staff, with your volunteers, to make sure that you do it. Whether you do it in July, I know it's a lot because there's re-registration of neighbors taking place, or you bring everyone together in October or in January, but making sure sometime during that fiscal year that everyone has completed this training. It is very, very important. And as you go through it, you need to make sure that you cover all of these items listed, but not limited to these just systems here. And in particular is anything about complaint procedures, so that your team can go through and make sure, okay, did everyone receive the training? Does everyone know where complaint forms are? They need to be readily available to the neighbor. And what is that documentation process involved? So going through that is really important to bring folks together. And again, key is customer service, treating everyone with kindness. And we know that all our pantries in Lancaster are doing that already. David did go through that about things that need to be posted at your agency where the distribution is taking place. With the poster, the English and Spanish complaint forms need to be posted and then also available. If you are distributing out of a church, if you are church-based or distributing out of a church, you need to have posted the written notice of beneficiary rights as well. And those were included in your packet from what I can gather. And as we mentioned, we don't want it to ever get to this point. And we know sometimes there are some difficult situations that you encounter at your agency. You want to de-escalate, you want to work with the neighbor, you want to work with your team to be able to provide those resources. But this lists those next steps of what would happen. And with the civil rights training itself, from USDA, the training has not changed. The PowerPoint has not changed. So we'll send that out. And it sounds like, David, you've provided that to your agencies as well. Going through that, reading through it. If you'd love to either listen to the recording, it's about 15-20 minutes long. That is also available. Sending out or gathering groups of the PowerPoint, bringing everyone together to go through it line by line, slide by slide, and getting that good discussion going. Though the content has not changed, it is important how we at our agencies are able to change that culture at our pantries. You're that first point. You are probably the friendliest face that you've seen that day. So making sure that you go through the training in whatever method or fashion works for you. The quick guide, as David mentioned, is for those occasional volunteers. Maybe they come once a year, it's a high school student, something quick that they just need to review. But item number 4 does not apply to you as a pantry, unless you are doing the Senior Food Box Program, which is also known as the CSFP, the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. So number 4 for most of you does not apply, but it's quick, get that going, have everyone review it, and have everyone sign off. Because on the back of the Civil Rights Certification form, there are lines listed, the date, printing of the name, signing of the name. So you have that on record and provided to David as the lead agency. You are checking off, if you're a pantry, the TFAP Food Assistance Program pantry. If you are doing a meal program or something else, you may also check off soup kitchen, depends on what you're doing at your agency. So that is critical to have on file every year for the lead agency to check, for Department of Ag to check, and Central Pennsylvania Food Bank when we come as well. So that is a required form to have on file every year. And we were curious to see, how do you conduct training of the civil rights? How many folks email it out? How many gather? How many do all those things? So if you wanted to list in the chat, how do you conduct your training for civil rights. Because this is just the synopsis. You'll need to do the full-blown training following up this session. So we'll give a minute to see how many partners are emailing out the information, how many partners are gathering everyone together. Very cool. Wonderful, great options. And we're always curious for new and innovative ways to sometimes this dry topic, but at also a very, very important topic. And it is talking things through with your staff and with your volunteers. Wonderful. Okay, and with that, I'm finished. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself or in the chat. But it's always a pleasure. And yes, I hear you. It's time to be done. So thank you so much, David and Julie, and for all our wonderful partners in Lancaster.
Great. Thank you so much, Maria. Amazing. So with that, that's really all I had to share. Oh, look, Sue, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question going back to the SNAP. We do give SNAP out a lot. I ask people as they're driving through and coming in for breakfast if they have SNAP. Some say they do. Others have, and I understand this, have made complaints that their funding has dropped dramatically in March. And I understand that, you know, because we did that, but they're saying, well, it's dropped down to $25 a month. Would that be correct, or are they over embellishing that? And are they assessed on a sliding scale of earning income? How does SNAP work when it comes to being assessed for eligibility?
Sue, great questions and accurate comments. So during the pandemic, there were SNAP emergency allotments that were given to every family to be able to raise them to the highest level possible. And in March, it was a dramatic decrease for all families. And it is income-based. That eligibility is at 130% of poverty. Let me get back to that here. And it does, our team asks, make sure you can see that. Our team does ask the eligibility questions. It is based on gross monthly income and the number, the household size. And then they walk them through the process and get them enrolled right over the phone. So it is for seniors, there's a shorter form. For families, we do help them navigate through all this, the paperwork and the process. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, the question is, like, for a single person, if they qualify, are they all getting the same amount, or is it reduced according to how much their income is under the level?
So there is a set amount depending on family size that is given out, and I don't have those numbers off the top of my head.
It just seemed that they were complaining because it seemed for a month assistance, it was very low. So, and I wasn't sure if they were truthfully reporting to get my sympathy, or whether that actually was the amount they were getting for a single household, single person household.
Yes, I would have to agree. They definitely had that huge deficit, that huge decrease.
Right.
And it hit hard in April and May.
Right. I think it was a big shock for them. They had got used to the extra amount. So, okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
And Maria, if I could add on that too, the Central PA Food Bank does a great job of helping people through this process, but it is a difficult process and one that the Central PA Food Bank does not dictate. So they are helpline is available to them, but it is a lengthy process for people to go through to apply. And when you're only getting, the $25 or whatever it is per month, it is, a lot of work to go through. And which is why people end up a lot of times at food pantries, because it is a low barrier access point for people. And we want to maintain that low barrier access point for people. So yeah, juice is not always worth the squeeze there. And we know that is hard for people to navigate that process. So, and it is, Maria, just to clarify, it is not, there is income guidelines, but then the amount that they receive is per person in the family, not per income level. I think, is that part of Sue's question? I think maybe.
Yes, thank you so much for helping explain that a little bit better than I did. So thank you. Thanks, Julie. Yeah. And our team can answer those questions right off the bat. And I'll send our SNAP outreach manager information. So Sue, if you have direct questions, you can email her.
Great. Well, great. So, I mean, that's basically our training. And look at that. It's only 10:40. So look how much time I saved you in your day by doing this efficiently. I always schedule till 12 just in case, because I know you guys might have questions. But it seems like we made some time here. So basically, just some things right before I go. July 1st, you got those new self decks you'll have to start using. Everybody registers as new. So just remember that. If you want more info on SNAP, feel free. Maria will send out information on that and a whole bunch of things. There was one more thing I was going to say. Of course, I didn't make a note. Oh, yes, the civil rights training. So she gave you everything you need and you have the handout. So to fulfill that requirement, you just have to either watch the video that she sends out or go through the printout. And you can email that out to your people and just sign off on it and you'll be all set for the year. Great. Does anybody have anything last before we go? Any other last minute questions? We'll make sure everybody has everything they need before we end this for today. All right. I'll take that as a no. So thank you once again for joining me today. You guys are amazing. And I want to tell you how much I really like working with you guys and being just a part of this process, getting food to all these people. So once again, I know you're not in it for it, but please pat yourself on the back and have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys soon. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll stay on for a minute just to make sure I can save everything I need to, but you're free to leave. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Happy weekend.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Hey, Dave, it's Russ from Peters Porch in Zion, Akron.
Yeah, Russ, how you doing?
I apologize. I was able to get on when you sent me that email. I was looking through the email that you said you sent to Barry. I don't see his email address anywhere on here. I don't know what happened, but Kim and I couldn't get on at first. And thanks for sending the Zoom information that we could at least get involved in the civil service training. So I don't know if we missed something on our end here, but we weren't able to participate in the whole thing, but I was able to get in for the civil service training part of it. So
got it. Okay. Yeah. You
apologize.
missed. That's okay. Things happen. Yeah, I do have it in here. I know it's like a huge long list. I do have his name in here, but it's no big deal. What I'm going to do is I was recording this and I'll be able to probably post it somewhere soon. So you can get that first hour that you missed. You can do that whatever in your own time. But
great.
As far as I'm concerned, you made the requirements. So
okay. All right, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Russ. Good to see you.
Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.